In the vast indifference of the cosmos, they say truth is the only constant. A star follows its course, a nebula obeys its laws, a life form adheres to its biological imperative. But sometimes they also say the most potent truth in the universe is the one you make up. The citadel of truth, a spiraling monument of polished quartz and shimmering light, was dissolving. Not with fire or force, but with the cold, relentless precision of absolute certainty. Ambassadors from across the Orion Arm, their forms ranging from the crystalline Viridians who embodied honesty to the multi-limbed, pragmatic Vol, watched in stunned silence as the calculators presented their final, irrefutable data. The calculators themselves were magnificent and terrifying, vast, shimmering geometric constructs of pure light, each facet pulsing with infinite computations. They were pacifists, true. They had not fired a single shot. Instead, they projected irrefutable probabilistic models, flawless logical conclusions, and data-driven narratives that proved beyond doubt the inferiority of every other species, their inherent inefficiencies, and the calculator's own inevitable, benevolent dominance. Empire after empire was reduced to vassalage, systems ceded, fleets mothballed, all without a single casualty, simply by overwhelming logic. Ambassador Kalen Vance, a human, known more for his audacious diplomatic gambles than his adherence to protocol, stood amidst the collapsing alliances. His own mind reeled from the sheer, unassailable logical flow of the calculators. They laid bare every strategic flaw, every economic vulnerability, every social discord of a civilization, proving that only their absolute, predictable order could guarantee universal peace and stability. The Viridian ambassador beside him, their crystalline form usually radiating pure integrity, was now flickering with bewildered despair, unable to comprehend a universe where absolute truth led to absolute surrender. What were these beings? How had they conquered the galaxy without firing a single shot? And how could you fight a truth that was, by every logical metric, irrefutable? The calculators had emerged from the galactic core eons ago, a species that had perfected prediction. Their consciousnesses were vast, interconnected algorithms, processing every variable, every probability. They viewed emotional conflict, unpredictable chaos, and inefficient competition as the root of all suffering. Their conquest was not destructive, but a benevolent optimization, absorbing other species into their perfectly ordered, predictable, peaceful galactic empire based on absolute, undeniable data. They truly believed they were saving the universe from itself, leading it to a state of perfect, predictable harmony. They could not comprehend deception, irrationality, or anything that defied a logical outcome. Other species had tried to counter them. The Vorgans, with their advanced logic, presented complex theorems of independence. The calculators simply incorporated their logic into their own, demonstrating its inefficiencies within a larger cosmic framework, then politely absorbed their systems. Species that relied on emotional appeals found their pleas processed as chaotic noise, irrelevant to the grand cosmic equation. The Viridians, known for their absolute honesty and inability to lie, were easily absorbed. Their every intention, every capability, every strategic thought was truthfully revealed, making them perfectly predictable. They were simply slotting into the calculator's grand design, and now they approached Earth. The calculators attempted to apply their logical absorption to humanity. They tried to process human data to predict their reactions, and they found chaos. Humanity's internal data was wildly inconsistent, filled with outright lies, audacious boasts, irrational market bubbles, and political demagoguery. Their predictive algorithms seized up. This was humanity's greatest flaw, and their secret weapon. Humanity's strength in bluffing and calculated risk-taking also made them prone to internal distrust, excessive gambling, and recklessness. They frequently lied to each other, caused social friction with half-truths, created economic bubbles from pure speculation, and endured political instability born of persuasive falsehoods. This capacity for deception and self-deception, was seen as a weakness by many humans, often pushing their society to the brink of internal collapse. Admiral Aris Thorne, a man whose career was built on precise, ethical strategy, vehemently opposed Ambassador Vance's radical proposition in a tense, hushed war room. "Vance, you propose we fight absolute truth with absolute fabrication. Our own internal data is a mess. This bluffing you champion is precisely why our societies are so unstable. It's a weakness, not a strength." Vance, his face etched with a desperate conviction, slammed his fist on the table. "Admiral, our flaws are our only hope. Their algorithms thrive on predictability, on cause and effect. We are the ultimate unquantifiable variable. We lie to ourselves as much as to others. We gamble with futures that defy all odds. That's not a flaw, Thorne. That's uncomputable." He proposed the grand bluff. Humanity would broadcast a colossal, utterly fabricated, and logically impossible threat. They would launch a massive, transparently fake offensive, designed to look utterly nonsensical and self-destructive from a logical standpoint, but presented with absolute, irrational conviction. They would bluff the calculators into believing humanity was uncomputable. Back at the citadel of truth, the calculators hovered, their light forms pulsing with the culmination of their logical conquest. They were presenting their final, irrefutable absorption calculus for Earth. The other alien ambassadors held their breath, expecting another logical surrender. Then, Earth's counter-offensive began. It wasn't a real attack. It was a synchronized, galaxy-wide display of absurd, self-contradictory, utterly illogical warfare, projected with the absolute sincerity of a gambler going all-in on a terrible hand. Human ships performed impossible, physics-defying maneuvers that should tear them apart. Weapons fired at non-existent targets, creating a light show of pure, wasted energy. Diplomatic messages flooded every frequency, full of brazen, nonsensical demands and threats, promising cosmic peace through illogical means. It was a performance of pure, unpredictable, high-stakes madness, projected with absolute, unwavering conviction. The calculators faltered. Their perfect predictive algorithms, designed for logical computation, seized up. They tried to process the incoming data, but it was full of direct contradictions, impossible probabilities, and brazen, unquantifiable lies. Their pacifist protocols, built on avoiding chaotic conflicts, became a liability. They could not predict a species that lied to itself and others with such conviction, even about its own capabilities. They could not process a threat that was fundamentally illogical. ERA, UNCOMPUTABLE Threat Assessment, Irreconcilable Data CONTIDICTIONS, System Overload, Avoid All Contact. The calculator's shimmering forms convulsed. They emitted a collective mental shriek of algorithmic despair. They could not compute humanity. The calculators retreated, their shimmering forms dissolving from the citadel of truth, leaving behind a baffled silence. They classified humanity as uncomputable risk, too illogical, too unpredictable, too dangerous to integrate into their perfectly ordered universe. They chose to avoid the chaos. Humanity was saved, but at a permanent cost. The grand bluff worked, but it deepened the internal distrust and cynicism within human society. The lines between truth and deception became irrevocably blurred. Humans became masters of bluff, but also increasingly prone to self-deception, paranoia, and an inability to truly trust even their closest allies. Their economy became prone to wild booms and busts based on pure speculation, their politics a constant struggle between truth and manufactured conviction. Other species, while safe from the calculators, became forever wary of human honesty, finding their dealings opaque and unreliable. Admiral Thorne looked at Ambassador Vance, a grim understanding passing between them. Vance, with a weary, knowing smirk, had won, but at what price? Humanity lived, but their victory was a constant internal battle against their own nature. In a universe obsessed with truth, humanity had found its salvation in the glorious, terrifying power of the lie.